Hi, everyone. You can all hear me okay? Yeah. Great. So I think that many of you have a pretty good understanding of data analytics, and you've probably heard of concepts or even have some good understanding of big data. Today I'm going to provide some background on what we do in the Insights team in LinkedIn and how the analytics that we pull can be used by you in talent acquisition to make your life easier. So the Insights team, what we do is we kind of bridge the gap between the big data that we have access to. And at LinkedIn, this is one of the best places to work in the business application of big data because we're sitting on this huge database of membership profile information. So with that in mind, let's get started with a cat photo. Now, everyone loves cat photos, right? And actually, I wasn't even looking for cat photos. It's not something that I do in my part-time. But I was just doing some image searching on the internet to find images for this presentation. And I was coming across a whole lot of cat photos for some reason. And although being cute, this shows us that terms like big data have actually made it into the mainstream. But in LinkedIn, we love cat photos just as much as everyone else. But probably this is a better representation of the data that we think of. And this is an in-map. Some of you might have already seen your own in-map before. It's a visual representation of connections between yourself and other LinkedIn members. And if you multiply this out across our 313 million members in our database, you can start to understand the size of the data that we have at our disposal. So, like I said, the Insights team that I work in, we bridge the gap between this big data and your needs as a client. I recently came back from an offsite with the Insights team in California, where all the Insights team from around the world got together, and we kind of brainstorm about where we want to go, what kind of cool tools and analytics can we roll out in the coming months. And it's really exciting to see some of the cool stuff that we've got in the pipeline. And I'm going to show some of the stuff that we currently already do shortly. So this is the Insights team mission. It's to create research and data-driven insights to power the world's most effective sales and marketing. It's a pretty ambitious mission statement, but we have the data and the talent to pull it off. So how do we go about achieving this mission? Firstly, it's the big data itself. As I mentioned, we have 313 million members and growing. Over 58 million of them are in APAC alone. And we're able to capture very low-level things, such as somebody getting a promotion, updating their profile, new job. We're able to aggregate that to company-wide things like talent flows, which you might have seen, and also up another level to country-wide talent migration. And also the implementation, how we go about translating the big data into business needs. We don't get bogged down in the detail, which is easy to do with a data set of our size and complexity. We aim to scale for the 95%. So what that means is we've created some really industry-class self-serve analytics tools, which let our reps gain access to the data that they need without getting stuck in all the detail. And in the cases where these self-serve analytics tools don't plug the gap, we have teams who are able to provide custom analytics for our larger clients. And the aim is that we're able to, if these requests are frequent enough and useful enough, we're able to funnel that custom analytics back into the self-serve analytics suite so that everyone can benefit in the future. So the long-term aim of the Insights team is to create strategic relationships internally and externally of LinkedIn to provide custom analytics for talent acquisition, which tell a compelling and worthwhile story to aid the decision-making process through data. Now, having access to big data is not necessarily the end-all answer. If you think of talent acquisition, traditionally it's been quite hard to measure your success. Other departments within your company have had the ability to measure their success for a long time. Things like marketing or sales departments are able to look at sales results, and CFOs are able to look at financial statements. But the talent acquisition world, it's been a little bit more difficult to quantifiably put a number on how successful you've been. So that's where we come in. With our mission to create research and data-driven insights to power the world's most effective sales and marketing. In turn, that analysis funnels through to you in the fashion of QBR reports, which you might have been exposed to, as well as annual reports, and for our larger clients, customized analytics. So we recently asked talent acquisition leaders in Southeast Asia, how well do they think they are using data during the hiring process? So how effectively are you using the data at your fingertips? You might want to think about your own organization. How well do you think you track things like return on investment for employee spending, or the candidate experience, or tracking a candidate's an employee's progression throughout their career? It turns out that only 15% of Southeast Asian leaders believe they're utilizing the data well. So with our clients crying out for more data and more targeted and focused data, we have spent the last few years creating some really great self-serve analytics tools which help our reps get the data they need to answer your questions. So let's take a look at some of these now. As I mentioned, we aim to scale for the 95%. So this means that these tools are able to be used and reused for the majority of use cases. The biggest and most important one of these self-service tools is called Merlin. And what it does is it provides aggregated information of our membership database. And this is available internally for sales reps to grab the data that you might request of them very quickly and easily. So here we're able to find things like your company's member count, number of connections, number of company page followers. And we're also able to look at higher level things, for example, talent flows, talent brand index, and impacted hires. And when we onboard reps for the first time, and I know that I was the same way when I first started at LinkedIn, new reps are just astonished by how much data we have at our fingertips and how easily we surface the information and make it available within our organization. Even reps which come from other world-class data organizations are pretty impressed. It really is a pretty powerful tool that we have here. What this means is that as a client, you're able to create a closer relationship with your relationship manager, one that's not just product-centric, but also includes some deep data analytical capabilities, which lets you more clearly address the concerns that you might have. Another one of our self-service tools is called Magic Wand. And we kind of have a little bit of a geeky naming convention in the analytics team. So far we've had Merlin and Magic Wand, and there's other geeky names as well, which we won't get into today, unfortunately. With Magic Wand, we're able to create customized PowerPoint presentations at a click of a button. This pulls in data from Merlin and some of our other data sources. And we're able to tailor the story based on certain preset modules, depending on how you as a client need the data and what story you're interested in hearing. This is obviously a huge time saver. In other companies, my understanding is that reps, before meeting with clients, might need to spend several hours putting together something like a quarterly business review document. But with this, the majority of that document can be created automatically, and then further manual customization can be done afterwards. So obviously, this is a great time saver, but it also means that because we're tapping into the power of our membership database, we end up with, for example, a QBR report, which is very thorough and contains a lot of deep data information. So this means in talent acquisition, you're able to take that document and elevate it within your organization and collaborate with other departments such as marketing to make your voice heard. And the final self-service tool I want to talk about today is called Talent Brand Index. It's already been mentioned previously in some presentations today, and I'm sure you're aware of the concept. You might even know your own individual company's talent brand score. Basically, the Talent Brand Index measures how you are perceived by prospective talent. And in the past, it's been quite hard to put a quantifiable number on this. In fact, LinkedIn spent a lot of time and effort with our larger clients coming up with a figure manually. Very time-consuming, but also not quite standardized, so it means it's quite hard to compare peers, and it was hard for you to be able to, on demand, find out how you were this month compared to last month. But with the Talent Brand Index, because it's a relatively simple metric, it's available on demand instantly across all of our clients. So what this allows us to do, and sorry, it's a little bit of formatting issue here. What this allows us to do is compare your individual talent brand score with your competitors. And it also allows us to track your progress over time. So huge time saver, but also this important concept of talent brand now has a easy quantifiable definition. And what's cool is that with this particular tool, we're starting to see some industry adoption. Some of our larger clients are reporting talent brand in their financial statement. And recently, PricewaterhouseCoopers conducted some analysis where they correlated Talent Brand Index to financial performance. So it's cool to see this being used in the real world. So that's some examples of self-service tools that we have. Let's take a look at how we are using some of the data to actually do some customized analysis. And this is some examples of what we've done in the last 12 months with some of our larger clients. So this is an example. One of our larger clients was interested in some identifying new hire staff retention rate. So they came to us. They wanted to know if we were able to show and calculate their new staff retention rate. And also, at the same time, they were questioning whether the LinkedIn Recruiter platform was working best for them. So what we were able to do was dig into our member database, and we were able to find the new hire staff retention rate for their peers and for themselves. And what we found was that their peers and the company in question were relatively similar for staff retention. The company was doing a little bit better. Overall, pretty large attrition rate. Almost half of all new staff hires were departing in the first 12 months. The company knew this, but the company didn't know that they were about similar to their peers. So this was actually kind of good news for them. But what we were able to do then is identify only those candidates who had been impacted by LinkedIn Recruiter during the hiring process. And when we overlaid that information, and again, charts are a little screwed up here, we could see that there was a tangible increase, actually 30% increase in the retention rate for those who had been impacted by the Recruiter product. So this was great news for me since I work at LinkedIn, but it was also great news for the client because now the talent acquisition team had the ammunition that they needed to take the conversation to upper management and discuss the future of LinkedIn and spending. We were also able to take a look at our talent drivers survey. Now, our talent driver survey is the largest talent survey in the world. And it basically asks one simple question. What factors are important to you when you're looking for a new job? Obviously, things like comp and benefits usually rank at the top. But with this, we're not only able to prove things like return on investment, but we're also able to ensure that the messaging which you are portraying to prospective talent is industry class. And in this case, we were able to overturn some gut-feeling assumptions that the client had on their messaging. For example, we were able to show that for the top one says flexible work arrangements, they were indexing far less than the industry average. So they were able to address that moving forward. Talent pool reports are one of the hottest topics right now with our largest strategic clients. So one recent example we had was one of our clients was looking to expand into the Korean market. So they were looking for senior management staff who had a good fundamental understanding of the Korean language and the Korean business. So what we're able to do is start off with our membership database, and then we're able to look only at those members who are Korean nationals or who speak Korean. The client provided us with some age bracket that they were interested in, and they also provided us with keywords which they deemed necessary to the role. So when we applied all of these filters, we end up with 32,000 members. And actually, you're able to do a very similar sizing using the Recruiter product. Recruiter is great for very quick and simple sizing of talent pool. So once we have the 32,000 members, we're able to do some cool stuff with it. So in this case, we can look where in the world these members reside. And what I think is interesting with this is that, if you remember, our first criteria was Korean nationals or Korean speakers. So you'd think, okay, we're just talking about Korea or Asia. But it turns out, because of the size of our data, this 32,000 members are all around the world. And that's pretty interesting. And then, depending on the story that the client is interested in, we can cut that data by many different kind of metrics and split it how it needs to be split. In this case, we were looking at things like where in the world is that talent most readily accessible. Things like the seniority, the education levels of the talent, gender split, time and current role, years of experience. So we've been doing this kind of customized analytics for our larger clients for a number of years, but we wanted to be able to roll this out en masse for all of our clients. So a few years ago, we started publishing talent pool reports, and I'm excited to announce a few months ago that we started these for APAC for the first time. So these published talent pool reports are available in APAC across 10 topics and 4 different APAC regions. The one you're looking at here is software development for Southeast Asia. So these talent pool reports show things like the size of the talent pool and where the talent can be accessed most easily. Things like skills and keywords that are most common on the profiles of these candidates, so you can easily search for them, as well as the top schools that they attended, the top groups they belong to, and our talent driver survey specific to this talent pool. So what this allows our clients to do is gain a good understanding of the type of data that we deal with here at LinkedIn and start to think about, okay, how can this data be used to help us or to help me in talent acquisition? So these are available anytime online, or you can ask your relationship manager for copies. Okay, so that's been like a really brief example of some of the stuff that we've been doing over the last 12 months. But what's next? Where are we going to from here? What other tools and reports do Insights have that can make talent acquisition individuals' lives more easy? So this is LinkedIn's vision: create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And a few years ago, this truly was a vision, but in the last, more recently, it's actually become a reality, becoming much more of a reality. And because of the Economic Graph Initiative, which teams within LinkedIn are working on, this Economic Graph Initiative is LinkedIn's strategy to realize the vision. So the Economic Graph is trying to digitally represent and map every facet of the global economy. And as that happens, it's going to bring more members onto LinkedIn and include more data points into our already rich data set. We're actually well on the way to achieving this. We already have over 313 million members. We have over 3.5 million companies, over 1 million jobs, over 3 billion endorsements, and billions of weekly network updates. So our data set is already pretty expansive. But as the Economic Graph Initiative continues to gain traction, our database is going to continue to grow as well. Already, we can do some pretty cool high-level things. For example, we can look at talent migration trends at a country level. We had a look at Australia for 2013, and we found that there were 57,000 members moving to Australia to start a new opportunity. They were coming mainly from China and from India, and they were bringing with them predominantly tech skills. And during the same time period, 42,000 left Australia, mainly to the US and the UK, also taking with them tech skills, but predominantly drilling and well management. So we are able to share this kind of high-level data with your organization, and you can use it to identify markets that you might want to sell into, or to find pockets of new talent which you haven't yet tapped. And we can even take that a step higher, and we can look at global migration trends across any skill set and any region. What you're looking at here is STEM talent migration throughout 2013. So as LinkedIn gets more and more data on its platform, we already have 300 million members, but we're still growing. And with the increased scope and breadth of our database, as it increases, so too does our ability in Insights to provide you guys in talent acquisition with more useful tools and insights to make your life easier. So hopefully now you have a better understanding of what the Insights team is. You might have never heard of it. Now you know it exists. And you now hopefully understand that we have some pretty cool tools, which you've probably already seen, things like QBR reports, talent flows, which we hope are making your life easier. And we have more to come. So we spoke about how we're sitting on this big mountain of big data. And we scale for the 95%. We have these awesome self-service tools. And in the case where the self-service tools don't quite meet the gap, we have teams which can do custom data analytics with the aim that we are able to roll that custom analytics back in the long term into the self-service tool. And then we have the economic graph, which is going to be increasing the complexity of LinkedIn's data. So it's a cool time to be working with data at LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Hey, Nick, stay on stage for a second. Stay on stage for a second. I'm going to take you back up on stage.
Oh, great.
So I'm going to put Nick on the spot over here because he is our resident sort of data genius. So, Nick, a lot of the chatter on Twitter is this stuff is phenomenal and is really going to help a lot of people go make the case to their management team or have a data-driven discussion about their talent strategies. Mm-hmm. So how do folks in the room engage and find this data, and what would be the steps for them to basically, start using it and engaging with this? Sure.
So the tools that we already have in place, which you have probably been exposed to, but you might not have been aware that they come from Insights-related tools, would be the QBR reports. You'll probably you'll be getting them each quarter. Then we have things like the talent pool reports, which I mentioned, which you can get online. We also have some other tools, things like talent flows, which we're able to provide you more regularly than just as part of your quarterly business review. Basically, though, everything comes back to your relationship with your relationship manager. So just poke your relationship manager. I'm not sure if they like me to tell you to do that, but just poke them, and then they'll probably turn around and poke me, and then we'll be able to get the data out to you.
Yeah, so don't poke Nick directly. Poke your relationship manager so that they can find it. Fantastic. Thank you,
cool.
Nick. Thanks.
All right, thanks.